Black Ops 7 Zombies Week and the beta are officially over, and I wanted to go over my thoughts on the good and the bad for what's been going on over the past month and a half, both in and out of game. So without further ado, my name's John, and let's figure out if we're hopeful, or just coping, with Black Ops 7 Zombies. To preface this yap session, I've been playing zombies since Black Ops 2, so try not to hate me when I say that I kinda like the modern day zombies mechanics. And with how short of a gap we've had from Black Ops 6 to this, it's only really natural for these systems to stick around, at least for this game. The armor system is fine with how the damage scales, and while still being a little bit annoying to manage, it's nice to see it all return with some really nice tweaks. An example for a notable update is that armor wall buys are now oriented around the player. So for example, if you buy tier 2 armor from one wall buy, every wall buy on the map will then turn to tier 3, which is just such a nice quality of life change. Melee weapons also give 150 points for headshots now, which is a welcome addition and gives a real incentive to use them outside of just camo grinding. Another updated incentive is using the mystery box, as it now provides ether tools, no more score streaks or melee weapons, and can be very useful for my GOAT, Chompy. This little guy eats weapons and equipment and spits out salvage of different rarities, which is so useful with the change of salvage drop rates being decreased across the board. So in the mid-game, you can basically exchange points for salvage through the box with him. The next huge addition is Cursed Mode. Now I want you all to listen closely. This mode is not the classic mode that people have been screaming about since Cold War, but a challenge mode that uses some classic systems. The only difference from standard mode is that you start off with a pistol, you have no minimap, and you also have the Black Ops 3 point system. You can unlock additional debuffs through relics, which you can find through quests and other methods inside of Cursed Mode, such as a relic that will force a 4 perk limit, or even remove ammo caches entirely. Once applying these relics, your game will increase in difficulty tier, while also increasing the wards you get from playing. Treyarch mentioned that a reward for playing tier 1 of Cursed Mode will be golden armor returning from the tomb, which is almost the no armor relic people have been begging for, as it regenerates alongside your health, although you do still need to buy the upgrades to your armor before being able to get golden armor at no extra cost. This mode has such huge potential, and will be unlocked by some method at launch, so we'll have to wait and see how that's done, but Treyarch did say that it would be easy for the fans to do. Now, I can see myself playing this mode way more than another mode returning 13 years later from Black Ops 2, being Survival. This mode restricts the player to a smaller area within a main map, with all the essentials you need to survive, so the mystery box, the pack-a-punch, and the wonder fizz for all your perks. While this mode is cool being updated this way, and what I played most in Black Ops 2 on Town, I can't really see myself playing this too much outside of just camo grinding. This is definitely just a personal preference. I prefer maps with quests and other things to do outside of just surviving, but this mode will definitely be some players' bread and butter, so I'm glad to see it return. Another very welcome gameplay addition is the carry forward for Gobblegums from Black Ops 6, as well as the skins for our crew that were obtained from completing the Easter eggs. Carry forward also includes your augments that you've unlocked in Black Ops 6, as well as adding another 2 to every perk, ammo mod, and field upgrade. And on top of that, the final reward for upgrading your augments is being able to equip an extra minor augment to each item, which will open up a huge amount of combinations, and I'm really looking forward to what people come up with. And this is especially because they've changed how some augments work, such as Juggernaut's Turtle Shell augment, which now acts as an infinite shield and still normally mitigates the damage to your front, as well as them adding an augment for Vulture Aid called Armormatic, which will automatically replate your ammo after running over it, which is a really nice option for casual and classic players. The carry forward not extending to weapons that fit zombies, such as the Olympia, is a strange choice, but we can only hope that they do something about that later in the game. And now onto the cons. First up is how similar this game is to Black Ops 6, with the argument I keep seeing around that this could have easily been an update or a DLC to it, and I have to say that I can see it. However, we know how Activision is, and it's very obviously for the fact that they have to pump out a game every year. I'm a Treyarch Zombies fanboy, so I've already pre-ordered the game, but I do have a friend called Nick who's also making a Black Ops 7 Zombies video. His channel will be in the description, and he told me why he isn't buying this game, and it's that in Black Ops 6, neither of us touched the multiplayer or the campaign, and only played it for zombies, which admittedly he did give up with after the tomb, but he said the only way for him to be tempted to buy this game is if it were to go on sale, or an even better option is if they were to allow people to only buy the zombies mode at a lower price, which I think is a great idea. Not only will this be more accessible for people not wanting to fork over so much money for things that they won't even be playing, but also allow the real fans to still have a taste of what's coming. I think this would be a great addition, just like how Black Ops 3 has the multiplayer only edition, but the likelihood of this ever happening is very low. Another con is how for some reason power-ups were incredibly scarce in the beta. In Black Ops 6 at round 10, I could have gone through an entire cycle of power-ups. But in Black Ops 7, I got my first one round 6, which is just absurd to me. Not only that, but in the special rounds, if you don't kill the last Ravager quick enough, it will run off with your max ammo, basically voiding that entire round and forcing you to either buy ammo, use a cashback, or wait even longer for a natural max ammo, which is such a weird restriction and a change that really shouldn't have been done in the first place, because it really dampens the progression early game. Speaking of progression, the guns. Man oh man, do the guns fall off so hard around 35. After which an entire magazine of tier 3 gold AR ammo will only kill about 5 zombies, which is just insane! Now I know that we didn't have our augments in the beta, but the fall off should still not be that bad. With how much zombie health increases, the trap on Van Dorn Farm was really the only viable way to reach a higher round, so this really needs to be addressed. With all the gameplay out of the way, next up is... Now I don't have too much to say about the enemies, my main pro being just how cool of a variety we're getting this time around. No more reworked spiders or parasites like we got in Terminus and Liberty Falls, but a new special enemy that you can even use to your advantage, as well as such a good looking and designed boss. Like, you're telling me that I have to take down a massive zombified bear with bees coming out of it? Like, how can that not be cool? Not to mention the models of the zombies. The default ones change depend on the area that you're in, as well as the armored zombies not just having Kevlar on again, which is a small change but goes so far in making a real identity for this map. However, my con is that the Doppelgast and the Uberklaus are returning. Like, why? I'd understand if it was part of a quest, like the Uberklaus is speculated to be, but still at least change the model to be more Dark Aether themed. And for the Doppelgast, why even bring that back in the first place when they could have stuck to the zombified animal theme they have? They could include an enemy like a wolf. This enemy that took 5 seconds to concept would have a side-to-side dash like the Doppel, a lunge attack like the Tigers from 9, and the average bite attack like the Hellhounds. This would fit the environment so much better, as well as the enemy theming, that it's a crazy thing to have these recycled in the first place. But anyway, on to the next segment, which is... Oh my god, does this map look beautiful. This is such a huge step up from the variety that we got in any game probably since Cold War, and I could not be happier. We have 6 unique areas, which is such a step up from a map like Transit, which was just fully industrial, and I think I'm in love with how Blackwater Lake looks. That floating pyramid over the lake has so much pure aura that it almost outdoes every Black Ops 6 map on its own. But I do have one stipulation for if this meets my expectations, and it's that if the pyramid does not crash down into the lake, or the rocket at the Cosmodrome isn't able to be launched like the radio teaser said, I will be very disappointed with Treyarch for not taking these ideas and using them to their fullest. They've also stated that each main map will take place in the Dark Aether, which allows for more fantastical areas, which is a much welcome update. Another thing with the map is how good it already is narratively. Each location has a different backstory and a reason as to why it's now trapped in the Dark Aether. For example, Blackwater Lake had a director who was making a film and then drowned his lead actress, and Van Dorn Farm was home to a ritualistic family, as well as having the literal prison realm from Jujutsu Kaisen in their basement. It's all just so incredibly cool and has me wanting to know more already. These single sentences from the blog post interest me more in these locations than Black Ops 6 did in multiple maps, so it's a huge step up in my opinion. On top of the map's narrative, we have our old crew back with brand new backstories. Some of which are actually crazy, like Richthofen being from a world where the Nazis won World War II. This is going to provide some very unique interactions, as well as being able to interact with our Black Ops 6 crew, which is very nice. The 8 character interactions were one of the few things I really liked about Alpha Omega, and to see this return in what hopes to be a better map brings me a really good feeling as to where this game is heading. Another pro for this game is the music, and so far it sounds really good. I loved Black Ops 6's soundtrack, and I cannot state enough how in every single game, no matter how good it is, yes, even Vanguard, Treyarch's sound team, you know, Brian Chewy, Jack Wool, Kevin Sherwood, they've always smashed it out of the park. And now bringing people on like Tori Letzler has made it all the better. Black Ops 6 has some of my favourite tracks in the series, and I cannot wait to see what lies beyond the new Damned theme. However, with all of that good out of the way, there is some bad. Starting with how they're advertising the map. Now, I don't know about you, but when they advertised Terminus to be the biggest zombies map they've ever done, and then it mostly being water, it left a real bad taste in my mouth. And now they're saying the same thing about this map. I just really hope that this isn't the same case, but with the fog, and have that be an actual useful area, instead of just extra wasted space to give them that extra metric. You've heard it a million times, and you're gonna hear it again, the HUD. Man, is it soulless to have the multiplayer HUD be the Zombies HUD for another game. And in such a different environment too, you'd think they would have come up with some crazy cool idea for how it would look, but alas, we're left with this yet again. I know there are themes which will overhaul how it looks, and the mockups from the leaks look great, but not having a dedicated one for zombies, as well as how cluttered it really is, doesn't bode well for the UI aspect of this game. As well as there being a small chance that these HUD themes will be paid for, which if they are, I will not be able to defend Treyarch on this one. You can remove specific items like the minimap and the compass, but I really want them to give us the option to remove objective markers. I'm fine with seeing them for my first or second playthrough of a map, but after knowing it all, I don't need to see it on the left side of my screen or that star icon all the time. Then there's this ugly gun icon. I'm literally holding the gun. I don't see the need as to why I need to see it twice, especially with it being so big. They also really need to decrease the size of item prompts. They take up such a large part of our screen, and it even does so when you're not looking at them, which is just even more extra unneeded clutter. The lobby and menu UI is also the same as previously, completely void of identity, walking through a corridor, and somehow worse than Black Ops 6, because at least in that game it showed the zombies maps in the background. I saw someone give the argument that it's because you need to see your operator skins, but you can still see those in a lobby like Black Ops 3 or 4 had. It just lacks anything zombies and doesn't stand out at all. Another gripe I have with the style is the Warzone washing of it. Now don't yell at me, this isn't some I hate armor bit. This is me saying how discolored the map looks compared to the other Dark Aether areas we've seen previously, such as the Church on Liberty Falls or the Nexus in the Tomb. This video by November Romeo on Twitter shows how just a little color correction can make this look so much more fantastical and fit with the Dark Aether theme that we're used to seeing. Granted, the ammo cache change is great and fits the game much more, but then again, why do we still have the same militarized crafting table and armory, or even the armor plates themselves? They have half of a perfect animation from the Tomb's main quest, where you pick up these orbs, just have the player crush them in their hand, or push them into their chest, and hey presto, you've got a great change. But apparently, the zombie mode still has to be grounded in reality. My final con so far isn't really the style of the game, but I did have to include it. It's the communication from the Treyarch team this past month and a half. It has been absolutely abysmal. From shadow cutting the clip from the COD pod saying that we'd be getting Zombies Week early September, just so they could delay it, different regional blog posts confusing times for the Zombies beta, and even saying it would end earlier, there being radio silence from the Zombies team throughout the entirety of the beta, outside of just some day one bug fixes, the incident, as well as the week of writing this, jingling the keys of a dev talk this week, rather than just telling us the day. This seriously needs to be worked on by the team. And while it's good to see this amount of communication is even happening, the way they went about it this time around has been atrocious, and I hope they remedy this closer to launch and the post-launch seasons. Now with all of this out of the way, it was just a beta. All of these criticisms should have reached the team, and the dev talk that's happening this week should hopefully clear up some of our issues and confusions. So this next segment, we'll be talking about that. So that just happened. There was a lot of good in this video, as well as some pretty heavy bad that we'll go over. But to start it off, we are getting a zombie-specific HUD at launch, which is so good, but I don't think this was already planned like they said it was. I'm hard betting on them seeing the outpour of hatred towards seeing the multiplayer HUD again, and they had to step up to make this in time. We'll also be getting a look at it before launch, as well as the different themes as the seasons progress, which is very nice to see, although there was no mention of the option to remove objective markers. Next up is the weapon balancing, and I hate how they went about this. They stated that we felt underpowered in the beta because we didn't have our augments from Black Ops 6. But wouldn't that be how a new player would feel anyway? As well as the people that may have skipped over Black Ops 6, or the casuals not wanting to upgrade every single augment path, which takes a monumental amount of XP, not having any augments would feel this way anyway, and to not buff the weapons at all because of just that flimsy reason is really negative to see. A solution that I propose for this is to allow players to not have to abide by the track that each item has, but allow them to unlock specific augments that they might need more than others, so that they don't have to waste their time on arbitrary ones. For example, the new Volterade augment is 7th in the track, so the casual players that want that will have to unlock 6 before that, so adding this feature would be much appreciated for them. Hi, future editing me here. They released another tweet after this saying that Legendary Rarity and Pack-a-Punch Tier 3 weapons will be getting an increase in damage multiplier, as well as SMGs getting a buff to close range, which is good to hear. However, with how much the enemy health scales, we'll have to see just how good this is actually at launch. They also mentioned that they're increasing the points needed for the trap because players were getting those points back from just using it, which is a fine balance change, as well as them reducing the radius of attraction, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. A good thing they mentioned is that Doppelghasts are only in the survival maps, and might only be on Vandorn Farm as they add more special enemies into other maps down the line. While I'd still prefer new special enemies, having them restricted to maps like these is decent enough. On top of this, no Manglers or the evolution chain of enemies, being the Vermin, Parasites and Amalgams, are returning from Black Ops 6, which is so nice to get confirmed and gets a weight off of everyone's chest. Next, they stated that Cursed Mode is a community mode, where we band together to discover these relics, so they're keeping most of it hidden, but they did say that Cursed Mode will be available for everyone once a single person completes the main quest on Ashes of the Damned, which is good, but I would have preferred to have it available on launch, so players could search for the main quest in that mode as well. But regardless, having a concrete time as to when we're getting it, as well as everyone getting it at the same time, is a huge positive. However, there was still no confirmation that Cursed could be played on survival maps, which would be a pretty big letdown if not. Next, legacy weapons like the Olympia and the M14 might also be coming to Black Ops 7, which is good if they are. I wouldn't really see why they wouldn't, especially considering what the leak for the first DLC will be. Then they discussed if the new Resonator gun from The Haunting was supposed to be a wonder weapon, and they said no. But tinfoil hats on here, I think they're doing a classic Treyarch wordplay when they say the weapon was concepted after Shattered Veil for multiplayer and zombies, while it was most likely supposed to be a weapon just for zombies before then. What can I say? I'm a Stanley believer. They also mentioned that a player made it to round 617, which is insane, but the fact they didn't shout out Decal for doing it is a bit petty to me. So shout out and congrats to you, dude, your will is stronger than mine could ever be. Finally, they mentioned the elephant in the room, why there isn't a super Easter egg in Black Ops 6, and they said they wanted to save it for the end of Black Ops 7, if there is one. Due to it being a direct sequel, it felt more natural for it to be in this game, which is fine. I don't personally get why people were so heated that we didn't get one in Season 6. In the past, super Easter eggs were always a nice little extra piece of content rather than solidly confirmed from day one. But that might just be me, and we're getting even more info on everything closer to launch. Overall, with the Dev Talks edition, I can safely say that I have hope for Black Ops 7, but I can understand why some of the community sees this level of enthusiasm as coping, and can only pray that Treyarch turns those heads around to what could be an incredibly fun game. There's definitely more that I could have said on both topics, but these were the biggest things in my opinion. Though if you did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It takes 2 seconds and it shows me that people are actually interested in these kinds of videos, some of which I'll be making at launch as well as streaming it. So hopefully I'll see you then.